What's up, you guys? It's Jono! Welcome to another episode of my Pokemon Legends Arceus request series. Today we are on request number 17 with Kichi by the farm here. We're going to get the full Pokedex entry for Cherrim, which is a very difficult task, so I'm going to try to explain a couple of different ways you can do this. Some take longer than others. People might say, Jono, that's the slow method. Well, I don't know. It could be slow for you. It could be fast for you. It just depends on how you play. So I'll try to tell you every which way that you can get this done. And whichever way you like doing it, you can just do it that way. There's probably 2 or 3 different ways you could complete this request. So let's get started. The way to get this done the fastest is going to be in the Coronet Highlands, so I would just recommend to wait until you get to the Coronet Highlands. This request is available as soon as you get the Frenzy of the Lord of the Wood story mission. That's one of the main story missions where you go up against Frenzied Cleavor. That's obviously very early in the game, and you won't be able to get the Coronet Highlands at that time in the game. So I would just recommend to wait on this one, otherwise it's going to take you forever. Now, the other thing you want to do is go over to the Lonely Spring area of the Coronet Highlands. That's where you're going to find the most trees, and the way to get Cherrim is out of a shaking tree. You will not find Cherrim anywhere else in the game unless you get lucky and maybe there's a mass outbreak for Cherubi, but Cherrim does not spawn in mass outbreaks, unfortunately. But I don't think that that's very likely. I don't think you should even try for that. I would just say to come over here to the Lonely Spring area where there are many trees that should be shaking once in a while, and you'll get lucky and get a Cherrim out of there. Now, some people say that Cherubi is more common in this area, and Cherrim is the less common of the spawns that jump out of the trees here. You will only get Cherrim and Cherubi out of these trees. I disagree with that. Everything online, I believe, is wrong. I have gone through this area many times on multiple different games, and Cherrim is the common spawn, and Cherubi is the rare spawn. Now, you can go ahead and roast me in the comments if you want to, but I have ran around this area for hours, and I got Cherrim after Cherrim after Cherrim, and I barely ever found Cherubi. So let me know what you think about that down in the comments. Did you guys find a lot of Cherubi? I simply didn't. Maybe it was bad RNG, but I never found Cherubi aside from a couple of times. I found Cherrim over and over again, which is the evolved form. Alright, so you can see here on the Pokedex, once you catch your first Cherrim, as long as you got it during daylight hours, then you will get 3 check marks, which should get you up to about research level 5. So you're basically halfway there as soon as you get 1 Cherrim out of the trees. It's worth mentioning that the method to get as many Cherrims as possible is to go back and forth from Jubilife Village back to this area. Luckily, this area is right next to the camp, so as long as you've got this camp unlocked, which can be unlocked via a request, then you should be able to just fast teleport yourself here as quickly as possible straight from the main map, and then you can just come and check all these trees like I'm doing here. Like I said earlier, you definitely want to save this request until later in the game. It is much easier to do this when you can fly, and you just fly a big circular pattern over the whole area, and keep in mind that the trees that are right next to the camp also can be shaking and have Cherrim and Cherubi inside them. It's not just the area in the Lonely Spring, it also counts for the area right next to the camp. So all those trees are good trees. Now you can see here I got extremely lucky and an alpha Cherrim dropped out of the tree. Like I said earlier, I never saw any Cherubi in this area, and I even got the super rare Alpha Cherrim before I even saw 1 Cherubi. So that's very interesting to me, and I do believe that Cherrim is the common spawn here. Now, the great advantage of getting an Alpha Cherrim is that it's going to be a higher level Cherrim with more moves. If you catch a Cherrim in the wild, just a regular Cherrim, it's not going to know the move Petal Dance. However, this Alpha Cherrim does know the move Petal Dance, which is the move that you need to complete your Pokedex research. If you want to go and buy some experience candies just to level up your Cherrim and get Petal Dance, that's probably a good idea. You could get a high level Cherrim very quickly, learn the move Petal Dance, and then just go and do what I'm about to do, which is use Petal Dance on a couple of different Pokemon and complete your research. If you get lucky like me, you might find the Alpha Cherrim, and it's already high enough level, and it already knows the move Petal Dance, but you probably won't find that too quickly. They are pretty rare. I got very lucky, so you'll just use some XP candies and get that Cherrim high enough level to get the move Petal Dance. And you can also use the move trainer in Jubilife Village, and she will give you the move Petal Dance as well once you get high enough level to receive it. So go ahead and just make sure you have Petal Dance on your Cherrim, and then you can use that Petal Dance on a couple of different Pokemon and complete your research super fast. Now, if you do find that to be a slower method and you don't want to do the petal dance research, it says online not to do it because it takes longer, although I think with experience candies, it really wouldn't take that long. If you don't want to do that method, then you can just go back and forth from Jubilife Village, come here, and catch as many Cherums as possible. Make sure you catch them during the daylight hours so that you get the extra bonus research, and you should be able to complete this pretty quickly. It's really not that hard of a request once you know where to find Cherum, and I do believe that this is the best area to find Cherum because there's so many trees. I only had to go back and forth between Jubilife Village and here about 3 times to catch all the Cherums that I needed, and then I did the research with Petal Dance, and I was done pretty quickly with this research. Now, I did try to do this research in the other areas like Obsidian Fieldlands. I spent hours on it, and I never found any Cherums, even though I was in the correct area. No matter how many shaking trees I found, they were all comb bees, which was very frustrating, so I just don't recommend to do that whatsoever. I know you get this request in the early game, but I would skip it until later in the game because it's much easier to complete later in the game. You can just come back to it. Alright, you guys, so here we are at Professorleventon and showing him our Pokedex completion. That's right, we completed Cherum's page, and that wasn't really too hard the way that I did it, especially if you catch them during the daylight hours. You could also defeat one of the Cherums and you get a free check mark that way too. So there's a bunch of different ways that you could do this, depending on which way you think is fastest and the way that you like to play. In the beginning, when I was first playing, I really did not like going back and forth to Jubilife Village. It feels like soft resetting. It almost feels like cheating, even though it's not. It's just a boring way to play to me. So I prefer to just play the game, use the moves, not do all this resetting, and that's just my particular playstyle, but you guys can play whatever way you want. So that's why I decided to put so many different ways to complete this research on the video. Everybody plays a different way, and that's totally up to you, so you got a couple different ways that you could do this depending on your playstyle. Alright everybody, so we are done with the request. I'm gonna head back to Kichi over by the farm, and he is going to complete the request for us, and of course give us our reward, which is a measly 5 Vivid Chokes. It's one of the worst rewards in the game for the hardest task. I can't believe he gives you such a bad reward, but oh well, that's just the way that it goes. It is one of the early game requests, and they don't have the best rewards sometimes. Anyway, you guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you found it enlightening, and I hope I made it easier for you to get that research done. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you to all of my amazing subscribers, and peace!